today we have all joined here for the virtual tech talk of this year, which BlackBeltHelp has hosted. I'm Suzanne from BlackBeltHelp, your host for today. And I want to tell you that at the end of today's presentation, we'll be taking questions posted in the web conference panel. So the question pane is available in the attendee panel. You can always drop your questions there, and we can take up during the end of the webinar. Now I'd like to introduce today's presenters. So we have Anthony Humphrey, President of BlackBeltHelp. He has over 2 decades of experience in catering higher education. Hi, Anthony. Most welcome. Thanks for taking our time. And we have Serra Turner, Support Center Team Lead from College of Baltimore County. Again, a veteran in the higher education. Hi, Serra. Thanks for joining in and taking this time out.
Thank you, Suzanne. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
So once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. We are excited to share with you how artificial intelligence has started serving the education sector and what's in for this year. So let's begin, and I would give the platform over to Serra.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. As the Support Center team lead at the ITS User Support Help Desk of the Community College of Baltimore County, I bring over 3 years of dedicated experience in overseeing technical support operations. My role involves guiding a dynamic team and providing top-tier assistance to our diverse college community. Holding a bachelor's degree in computer information administration, I possess a robust understanding of IT systems and user support. I am passionate about leveraging technology to enhance the educational experience and am continually seeking innovative solutions to complex technical challenges. The aspect of my job I enjoy most is working closely with people, understanding their needs, and ensuring their success with technology. Outside of work, I am a devoted parent who loves cooking and spending quality time with my family. Reading, particularly self-help books, is a source of personal and professional growth for me. Additionally, I express my creativity through making handmade jewelry and customizing t-shirts and mugs, bringing unique and personalized designs to life. Hi, everyone. Serra Turner here. I am thrilled to share our journey at CCBC IT User Support.
It was going exciting, Serra, to know.
Thank you.
And actually, can I ask you a quick question, Serra?
Sure, of course.
So I'll do one quick share for me. I think I love self-help books as well, and improvement books in general. My favorite is a book that was a little older, but it's called Purple Cow by Seth Godin. It's all about differentiation. Do you have a favorite, either self-help or best favorite book? And I hate to put you on the spot.
I have so many. Let's see, one of my favorite books, I would say, is about, let me think, for so many titles. My most recent book, oh, not coming to me right now, but I have read this. Oh, that's okay. I did have this one book called Spirituality, What It Is. And it's a book about just everyone coming together with the common good of just, you know, the fact that just the love, everyone just having love for one another, being kind to one another, and helping others. That's like one of my favorite ones.
I'll have to check that out because that sounds really good. Sorry for putting you on the spot. Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Oh, no worries. I'll definitely share that book with you, the information. Okay. Let's see. So here we're talking about CCBC, CCBC faculty and staff, communication, understanding metrics, and customer experience. I'm thrilled to share our journey at CCBC ITS User Support. It's been a mix of challenges and victories, especially with our partnership with BlackBeltHelp. There have been They have been with us through thick and thin, helping us turn potential setbacks into wins. It's about CCBC. Let's talk about overcoming the hurdles. For instance, when faced with network issues, it wasn't just about BlackBeltHelp stepping in. It was our teamwork that mattered. Together, we managed to keep our services running smoothly, turning a tough situation into a testament to our resilience. Okay, mission and values. Moving to mission and values, our shared ethos with BlackBeltHelp shines, like the time when we experienced a phone system outage. It could have been a chaotic situation, but our collaborative spirit and BlackBeltHelp's quick communication helped us handle the situation effectively, aligning perfectly with our values of responsiveness and reliability. Discussing CCBC's faculty and staff. The story is about shared successes. Their support in managing day-to-day inquiries allow our team to tackle more complex challenges, ensuring a balanced and effective support system for all. Okay. I think this one's you, Anthony.
Well, I know we've and maybe a couple questions too as we go farther along. We'll make it sort of interactive. But I think these are some of the things that when we've been working with CCBC, and Sarah, you've just been a fantastic partner. The entire team there has been great. But these are some of the things that we've really looked at in terms of outcomes and really trying to improve sort of the speed to answer, the answer rate. So when students and folks call in, the constituents call in, they can always get an answer. And when they get an answer, does it resolve their issue? And we could take about 18,000 or so, just under 18,000 annual interactions for CCBC. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Sarah, but maybe if you want to give us an example of, and it's okay to give either an example of a challenge or a victory, that would be great too, if you'd like.
Oh, sure. There have been challenges such as, for example, um, students trying to access certain software or access their account. And a lot of times it's after hours or it's on during holidays or weekends when they're not able to get a hold of CCBC youth support. BlackBeltHelp has always been there to assist these students. Like when it's in the middle of the night and they have a home assignment that's due or report that's due, BlackBeltHelp has been there to offer support and getting them access to that account or service.
Nice, excellent.
Sure. Okay. For customer experience, we value the insights from BlackBeltHelp's reports, which help us fine-tune our services. It's not just about solving problems, it's about learning from them to enhance our overall support quality. And let's see. Okay. So what are your top challenges? We have a poll here. Please select the one most appropriate.
Well, thank you for the poll. Do we have the results for the poll as well, or will that come up a little bit later, maybe? Maybe it came up and I
Yeah,
closed
we can pull that up later, Anthony.
Okay, great.
Good. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks, Sarah. I'll take over and cover a couple of items, and then feel free to jump in. And if you have any questions for me or any questions that are unclear, just let me know. But what we thought we'd do is talk a little bit more about the partnership with CCBC and BlackBeltHelp, and then we'll get into talking about AI chatbots as well. So a little bit about us. We do offer very flexible solutions around either off-hour support or 24/7 support. And then we're also able to offer very flexible solutions, be it for what we're calling our human cloud network, which is our agents, our live agents that can take calls, either all based in the US or based in overseas with our global team, or a hybrid of the two. But the idea there is to always be available for whatever that scope of hour support is, whether that's after hours or 24/7. So we try to be very, very flexible. And then we also try to offer support in multiple different offices. I know CCBC, of course, is using us for IT help desk support, and that's been a great partnership. We also offer LMS support, and then certainly the student services area. So financial aid, reg, records, student accounts, etc. So it just is really nice if you can go back one slide as well. So that's been a great kind of flexible offering for folks where we really look at trying to partner with an institution versus just trying to provide a service or be a vendor because we want to grow with our partners. I know, for example, CCBC right now is, of course, has IT help desk support with us, but we're also talking to them about chatbot support in the future as well. So we'll see where that goes and whether that they decide to move forward with us or not. I think the key is always trying to offer solutions that can add additional value to them that they can then pass along to their constituents, be it students, staff, or faculty. We also try to provide those services at a very reasonable cost. And then on the right, I know these kind of go without mentioning, but our core values really are super important to us. Aside from just being laser focused on service and service delivery, these are the things that kind of get us up in the morning every morning, be it transparency. As I mentioned with Serra, and Serra said, right, there are challenges and there are victories. It can't all be victories. Any partner that tells you it's all just victories and it's all rosy, you just need to run away from. That's just not the case, right? So there are going to be challenges. And the definition to me of a partner is how those partnerships function during that challenge. So when there's an error, either who knows what that could be. It's how does everybody work together? How does everybody get together and resolve the issue as fast as possible? And that's kind of about transparency. We're very focused on diversity and inclusion and really making sure that as we represent an institution, that their constituents feel included and very much consulted in terms of that process of solving the problems and solving those issues. We also really try to look at social integrity and innovation. And that's kind of back to what I said earlier of really trying to be a partner for an institution so that we can grow together. Many institutions like CCBC may start with IT help desk support or LMS or maybe the student services side, and then later may add a chatbot or a voice bot or two-way texting. And that's kind of how we try to grow with our clients and our partners. So let's go to the next slide. Quick little bit of a background about BlackBeltHelp. We are just focused on higher ed. We have about 200 or so clients, and we serve about 4 million students. And of course, we also serve staff and faculty. And we take about 1.4 million interactions a year. And we started about 20 years ago and really began in that kind of IT help desk and LMS space. But very quickly, our clients kind of pulled us into student services as well. Because when students are getting great support in one area, they want to get great support in other areas as well. And you can see our leadership team there. But all of us are very focused and very passionate about serving the constituents of our partner institutions. And that's what we get up every day focused on. Let's go to the next slide. A quick overview of just some of our clients that we've worked with. I know there's a variety of folks on the call today, whether you're a community college, a four-year public, an HBCU, or a four-year private. Who knows? But we serve a variety of institutions from the entire California community college system to institutions like Capella or SEI, Capella, Strayer, and Jack Welch. We also serve folks like Tufts, Community College of Philadelphia. So it kind of ranges from the very large to the smaller to everyone in between. And you can, of course, see CCBC there and Cornell as well. So let's go to the next slide. So let's focus a little bit more on kind of the content for today from our side at BlackBeltHelp. Really, the idea of AI is to how can we help reduce that administrative burden, whether that is for the institution or for their constituent. So we want to look at things like automating critical tasks that maybe are really good at being automated. Things like password resets, students asking if, one of the things that we had, I live somewhat close to where Serra is. I'm in the DC area. She's in the Baltimore area. We had a snow event 2 weeks ago where we had 8 to 10 inches of snow, which in the DC area, if you don't know, tends to shut things down. So I'm sure there were probably, you know, a lot of phone calls around, is the institution open? What's the schedule? Are classes being offered? Is staff on campus? So those are all things that we can certainly help, as we did with them for that event with a live agent. But we can also look at automating that with a chatbot and a voice bot. So a voice bot can go on all the different phone systems and let someone know that the, you know, indeed the institution is open or isn't, or if there's a sort of a hybrid schedule. And then a chatbot can then also go that next step further and provide additional support resources, how to reach maybe your faculty member or your faculty advisor. We can also look at streamlining some repetitive tasks and driving efficiency up. We can also look at how do we do things in a self-help environment that really will make students, and I'm going to focus a little bit more on students if that's okay. Know that we do serve, of course, staff and faculty, but students are really super critical to this whole process, right? Without students, none of us would be here. But we can also look at simplifying ways to help students. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But for example, a student may want to click on a knowledge base article to get their own help, and then click into a chatbot. And then from the chatbot, if they have additional questions, they may want to speak to a live person. And all that can be done in one environment. And that kind of transcript, if you will, of those questions then follows that student. And more importantly, when it comes to an agent, be it someone that is answering the question at CCBC or on our team for them, that transcript is passed along. So the student doesn't have to ever repeat themselves, which is great. So let's go to the next slide. So little things that that really we're focused on is how do we drive things like student success and student satisfaction campus-wide, right? Because we know that that will drive student success and completion, whether they're looking to complete a degree or a certificate and transfer, or just complete a certificate and finish for a current job they're already working. The whole focus is how do we enable success, and whatever that definition of success is. As we know at community colleges and maybe increasingly at four-year publics and privates, the definition that students have of success is changing, is considered considerably over the past several years. It's not just about achieving a degree. It now may be whatever their definition of success may be. And the way that we try to do that is to increase first contact resolution, meaning the first time they reach out, we want to solve that issue that they have. And how do we make sure that we provide very accurate answers? Because the worst thing we can do is give a wrong answer. And that then gets escalated back to our partner institution and they've got to correct us or something like that. So the whole idea is to be very, very accurate upfront, build those knowledge base articles in a way that makes it easy to change and update, because of course those policies change year over year. And then how do we drive efficiency? So how do we try to lower the cost of service delivery? Because as institutions grow, they may not always be able to grow the expenditure on their staff side to be able to meet that student demand. So sometimes you'll see long lines at institutions and such. So how do we do all of those things? And one of the ways that we can do that, certainly, and let's go to the next slide, we've talked a little bit about kind of, as I mentioned, we have our human cloud network on the right, which is our live advisors to take calls. So whether that is, again, 24/7 or nights and weekends, but there's a whole team there that we can use to augment the staff on campus and to kind of give the team members like Sarah a bit of a break. We can take those repetitive questions and try to take that really sometimes crushing volume of that tier one or that initial call from a student so that they can be freed up to do really what they're the most expert at, which is how to creatively solve problems and how to roll out additional new technologies. So that's on the right-hand side of that sort of overview of what we offer. But on the left, what's been new in the last 5 years is really what we call our customer experience products. And these are some of the things that we're going to talk about today in a little bit more depth. Whether that is our portal, which enables a place for on a website for a very rich knowledge base to live so students can search for their own answers. Or what we're going to talk more about is AI voice and chatbots. So I know that's a hot topic today. There's a whole lot of discussion going on at every level across the world, frankly, about AI. Whether that's government looking at how to regulate AI, we of course have to be very careful as we roll out our AI and voice and chatbot solutions, because we have to make sure there's a set of guardrails there so that students don't ask questions that are either inappropriate or would provide incorrect answers. So we've done a lot of work and we continue to do a lot of work of how do we provide the best experience we can to make it easy for students to get support in a multi-channel, multimodal environment. We'll also talk a little bit about Advisor Assist. That's a tool that we'll talk about in a moment. And then obviously one of the big things, of course, in IT Help Desk is how do we look at doing password resets? We can certainly walk a student through that, but we also have a way with an integrated bot to enable the student to reset their own password, to not have to talk to an agent on our team or an advisor on our team or someone on the college's team is a big time saver. And we've kind of covered our knowledge base as well. So why don't we go and do a little more depth on the next slide?
Sure, Anthony, these were really great. In between, if you want to talk about, we have the results of our first poll. So Anthony,
Oh,
we
excellent.
we asked our audience, what are their top challenges? So you won't be surprised, our audience have 24/7 access as they're 60% of the challenge which they're facing right now. And 45% of the weightage has been taken by staffing.
Well, not surprising. And maybe what I'll do, if you don't mind, Sarah, I'll ask you another question too.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting results, Suzanne, that 60% of the respondents, is that what it was? 60% of the respondents, or
Right,
or was it
correct.
60% said that was the
60%.
biggest issue?
Yeah.
So my question for you, Sarah, is was that one of your concerns at CCBC
Yes.
before reaching out to us and folks, and then has that worked out well for meeting that need?
That has definitely been one of our challenges. Actually, we even as far as back as last year, actually year before that, a couple of years ago, we had we've been having issues with staffing here and there. This year we finally got enough people to kind of help with the um workload a little bit. But prior to, we had issues with staff. We had a high turnover. People weren't really staying, they were coming and going, and we had as low as maybe one person on our team. And a lot of times we had to switch everything over to BlackBeltHelp for assistance. So we were getting like high demand calls and walk-ins, and it was really a huge load to balance on our own. So BlackBeltHelp definitely came to the rescue and assisted and helped us balance that workload. It was definitely a great help and support.
Well, good. And what's interesting that we've kind of heard, we've certainly heard that from institutions really across the country. And I don't think it's unique to the vertical of community colleges. What I think has been unique that we've heard really since COVID. So in many cases, and I don't know if this may be the case in Baltimore, but let me know. But certainly in my area, I live near Anne Arundel Community College and Chesapeake College here on the Eastern Shore. What I've heard from their leadership too is in the past, they were like the premier employer. You would get 100 applicants for 30 positions that opened up on campus. And whether that was for the community college, the four-year public, or maybe even the other big employers like the local K-12 district or a local large hospital, those were kind of the premier employers, and they never really had a difficulty finding and hiring great staff. What we've heard since COVID is just the opposite, that they're telling us it's
Yeah,
almost impossible to even find staff to hire. And when they do, it's such a competitive environment that it's tough to just bring staff on board. So I don't know if that's the
yes,
what you've been
that
experiencing.
definitely is what we have been experiencing. Definitely,
Yeah.
we it's hard to find good staff, and the ones that we do find, it's hard to keep them because there's someone at the college next door that's maybe offering a larger salary. Yeah.
Right. And the competition, I think, between all of those same potential employers that used to sort of coexist, right? The hospital, the K-12, the community college, the four-year public, the four-year private, it's become so
Yes.
competitive that sometimes it just becomes really difficult to find good staff. So it's not even an issue of can we hire? It's, wow, is there someone that wants to work for us? And that's what we've heard
Exactly.
across the country.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is I find that a lot of people, a lot of applicants are, and I don't blame them. They're more in tune to wanting to work from home. And that's not something that we offer 100% of the time.
Right. Yeah, it's a challenging environment to hire for sure. So that's
Yes.
been what we've seen that's been unique since COVID. And I think that's what may have driven us about 2 or 3 years before COVID to look at some additional technologies like we have on the screen here. Because it is great to have live agent support and live advisor support. And that will never go away. And that will always be a critical need because so many constituents do want to talk to a live person, be it at 3 in the morning on a Saturday night when they're doing homework, or
Hmm.
who knows when on MLK Day at 2 a.m. when they have to get their last bit of project submitted. So that's always going to be a need. But what we've really heard many years ago, and that's kind of why we started looking at these tools, was the need for AI chat and voice bots. So when I know it's a huge discussion around those now, and whether that generative AI is a good thing or not a good thing. But what we've really specialized in is two areas, what we call an FAQ bot and an integrated bot, be it a voice bot or a chat bot. So a voice bot we can place either in place of an IVR or when someone calls into the institution, that can provide some general information, but it's also interactive. So that voice bot can prompt with questions, and then can also be integrated so that when someone responds with a question that is student specific, it can answer that as well. And what you'll see below is an example of our chatbot that we can place really on any website or on any device or any sort of existing portal that an institution may already have. And it's a way for the student to say, you know what, I may not want to reach out to a live person, but I know that I need help. And the benefits to a bot really sort of are these here. We kind of call it future-proofing an institution because as technology changes so much and so fast, student expectations do as well. And those expectations are meteoric. They certainly expect everyone to know everything and every system to be integrated. If I can, I'll tell a quick story, and I'll imagine myself as a student, but I'll tell a story in terms of what maybe we can all relate to, which is going to see your physician. You sort of call and say, hey, I need to go see my doctor. And they tell you that, great, we can fit you in a month. So right away, you're kind of like, boy, I've got to go in a month. Oh, I need help today or I wouldn't be calling. So right away, sometimes we're not thrilled as a customer of our physicians. And then we sort of show up and we meet the receptionist at the front counter, and he may say, well, what are you here to get help for? And my answer is, well, I gave you that information when I called to make the appointment, but if you don't have it there, then I'll tell you what that is. And, who knows, whatever that may be. So then we kind of wait for the doctor to call us back, and the doctor calls back and says, great, the doctor will see you now. You go meet with your doctor. And she says, great, what are you here for today? And that kind of is my second or third strike, where by that time I assume that I've given my doctor's office so much information about me. They may know more than my partner or my spouse knows about me. So I want them to number one, of course, keep that data secure, but more importantly, I want them to use that data. And that's where I think students expect their institutions to do as well. Whether that's an admissions application, the FAFSA form, an additional scholarship application that there may be for scholarships on campus or state-based aid. There's a lot of data that institutions have. And what we want to do as a good partner is make it easy to leverage that data so that students feel like everybody is able to answer those questions and everybody then can meet their need. And that's the value in an integrated bot. So one other quick thing. So with an FAQ bot, that's designed to answer questions like, what's the guest Wi-Fi? Is the campus open today? How much does the nursing program cost, or the police academy or fire academy program cost? All the things that are not unique to a student. But the moment that a student, and those are great questions to answer with an FAQ bot, that can really help solve 20 to 25% of most student inquiries. But then they'll ask questions like, have you received my financial aid? Or have I already applied? Did you get my FAFSA or my ICER downloaded from the Department of Education? How much do I owe? Who's my faculty advisor? What are my grades? What are my courses, right? And it's always the thing where the student says, I have just one question, and they really have 20. And that's great that they have 20 because that means they're engaged. The worst thing is for a student to not have questions. But the idea with an integrated bot, and that's something unique to us at BlackBeltHelp, is that we can then answer in the bot those questions. We can tell them if their FAFSA and their ICER has been imported, whether there is a rejection code, what documents may be missing, how much their balance is, what their current courses are and their grades. So the idea there is we can really integrate, and we'll talk about that in a moment, to all the different systems on campus that today might be disparate and may not be connected. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But I think without going too far down and droning on, my apologies, but that's the real value in both an FAQ and, more importantly, in an integrated bot. And what we see with an integrated bot is that that can deflect sometimes as much as 30 to 40% of those student inquiries, because they really just want to get questions answered quickly. And then maybe after all those questions, like, is the campus open? How much aid do I have? Who are my, what are my classes? What are my grades? They may then say, when will I graduate? Well, that's a question that a bot really is not going to be able to answer, right? Because that's a super complex question that requires a professional like Serra to answer. Someone that can pull all that data together and say, based on all these factors, this is when we think you're going to finish. So that's a time when the bot can then escalate to and create a ticket, document all the questions, and then escalate that to someone on campus. And that entire chat transcript from the chat bot or from a voice bot is then passed along to that person on campus, so they don't have to start over with the student. So that's a really powerful tool. And that leads me to the last two things here on this slide, which are the Advisor Assist tool, which is, think of that as kind of maybe an alternative to your current SIS, Student Information System, or ERP. It's not meant to replace that, but those tools are very good at storing data, but they're not very good at using them to serve a student, right, at a front counter. Sometimes it takes too long to log in and you're asking the student, what year are you asking about? And then if they ask a financial aid question to the financial aid staff, they can answer it. But then if they ask an admissions question, they've got to get referred down to the admissions office. So the idea with Advisor Assist is to really provide all that information in one place so that our advisors can answer those questions so the institution doesn't have to. So they can go across all those different offices and answer those questions, and then see that same ticket that came either from the chatbot or to create a ticket, so that the student, the staff, and us all are on the same page as to what the student's questions and queries were and how they were resolved. And of course, it's secure and FERPA. We don't store student data. We only access that data for that moment that we're either on a call with a student or doing a live chat. And then that data, of course, is never stored in our systems, because it's the safest place for that data resides with the institution. The last piece here is what we call our engagement manager, and that's two-way texting. The idea there, again, is a student can start on the chatbot, ask some questions, then go to an advisor and go back to a chatbot if they want. But then later, after someone may have hung up or finished with a bot, they might go, oh, I have one more question. I forgot to ask about how much a program is or when the next class start is. And that enables two-way texting. So the student can then use that same tool, ask that question. The bot can then respond to that student and remember who that student is and send them an answer via text message. It also enables the institution like CCBC to do broadcasting of text messages. So you can do a search within your SIS and say, give me every student that has a balance due greater than $100 that is 10 days away from being deregistered. Let's send them a text message that says, please make a payment plan or make a payment to rectify this so that you're not deregged. And again, the student can then text back and forth with the bot to get answers. So I hope that's helpful. Those technologies are really designed to make it very, very easy for students to either get live support and escalate from an existing tool that may not be live, like a chatbot or a messaging, and then go right to an agent and get those things resolved. And all of those tools then base those answers on an existing knowledge base that we've built, with, in this case, CCBC. They, of course, were the experts already on their campus. So they had all of their policies and procedures and their website FAQs that we took and built into making it a knowledge base. So let's go to the next slide. At most places, folks will say, well, how do you make that all work? How do you get access to all that information? So let's look at that next slide, and that'll help answer that question in terms of integration. So one of the things that we'll do now that that technology is there, because 15 years ago it was very difficult to integrate with these systems, even maybe 10 years ago. But for the last 5 to 8 years, it's been very easy. So whether that is integrating to a password reset tool like Duo or Okta or others, or maybe more importantly, that student specific information that lives in an LMS, whatever LMS you may be using, and of course, whatever student information system or ERP you may be using, be it Banner or Colleague or Workday or Genzabar or PeopleSoft, Those are sort of those databases of record, including the LMS, where maybe the grades are stored there, the faculty information and the coursework. And then lastly, integrating to an ITSM or a ticketing tool. Again, whether you're using ServiceNow or Zendesk or Footprints or Team Dynamics, there's a whole host of different tools out there, but all of them do have APIs. And now that we can link to those APIs, we can then answer very, very student-specific questions either live with our agents using the tool like Advisor Assist, or enabling a student to do that with our integrated chatbot as well. So last thing I thought I'd share before we do another poll, because I think it'd be fun to do one more poll, is on the next slide, give you an example of what some of that scope of support is. So these are some of the things that we work with CCBC on, whether they're questions around SIS support for their staff or faculty, network connectivity, productivity apps like Slack or Teams or Zoom. And of course, you know, in today's world, those are super important because so many classes are being delivered via that modality, right? Not every student is on campus. I don't know. So Sarah, quick question for you. What's your best guess as to maybe the percentage of online courses that CCB offers? And we're not going to hold you to it. You can just round up to the nearest, whatever.
Oh, wow. I would say, we have, I want to say maybe like 60% are online. We have a lot of online courses. Yeah. And then we use Zoom as well as Microsoft Teams
Okay,
as far
very
as
cool.
communication and conducting core classes. Yes.
Yeah, and we've seen that across the country too, where students are just, you know, they're having trouble either logging in. Maybe it's not students, sometimes it's faculty.
Yes.
And it's really being able to help those different constituents as needed. So these are some of the things that we can help with, whether they're third-party tools like Turnitin, WebEx, of course, email support, and then of course the all-important password reset. Our agents can either walk a student through a password reset, or we can enable an automated tool like an integrated bot to do that password reset as well. So let's go to the next slide. This is a good example of our student services areas of support. Again, every institution doesn't have to avail themselves of all of these. It could be one or two of them or a handful. And then many of our clients will grow over time. They'll start with IT help desk or LMS and then go to student services or vice versa. So I mentioned this earlier in the call. We don't have to spend too much time here, but it's everything from things like student accounts and payment balances and looking for 1098-Ts. Maybe it's military and veteran support, Chapter 31 or 35 or yellow ribbon programs. It's all those different areas that we call a tier 1 question, meaning it can be student specific and it can be challenging, but it is not something that requires a professional support group like the team on campus. So like an academic advisor or like a financial aid advisor or a registrar, right? Because, we won't be able to answer questions like, if I'm coming in, I'm transferring in and I have 19 credits, what credits will count over the phone, right? We can't answer those things, but we can certainly let them know if maybe that transcript has been received, has it been evaluated by the campus team, and what their then courses may be that are left. So we can answer those tier 1 questions and then escalate the tier 2 questions to the institution. Well, let's take a poll. I'm kind of curious. I know I've been talking a lot, but let's take a poll as to kind of which of the following things that are folks most interested in hearing more about, because we don't want to kind of take the time if folks are not interested. So your poll just popped up. So feel free to vote in your poll, and then we'll come back to that in just a little bit to get those results. So we'll give folks a few seconds to answer that poll.
So thank you, Anthony, for taking that poll up. And meanwhile, we have one unanswered question in our Q&A panel. Probably if you'd like to take that. Meanwhile, the question is, do you offer services that would tell if a student is using AI to assist with writing papers?
Oh, that's a great question. And it's come up a lot. So we don't offer a tool ourselves that, because I think that question is probably a little bit broader. It may be around plagiarism issues, using things and other tools that are certainly out there that we can integrate to, that will be able to look at students' homework or submissions to see if that was done by an AI itself, sort of a generative AI tool like ChatGPT or others. So again, that's not a tool that we actually support or provide to institutions. Our focus is on how do we really help those tier 1 kind of questions but I do know that we can integrate to many of those different tools that are out there, whether it's, I'm not sure if Turnitin does that and some other tools that will look at trying to find students that either may get desperate and use a chatbot or plagiarize other tools. So, but yeah, it's a good question.
Nice, thank you, Anthony, for answering that live. I think we have got all the answers, and I'm sure that's what the result shows. AI voice bot and chatbot is something which is really interesting for our attendees.
Well, good. And I think the key, and Michelle, thank you for your question. It's a really great question. And maybe what I can do is help differentiate a little bit between some of the existing chatbots that are out in the industry and really what we do as a service to our current partners. So again, there's many chatbots out there. One, of course, that just about everybody's heard of course, is called ChatGPT. And that is a generative bot that you can ask kind of any question to. And that's, I mentioned earlier, the guardrails. Think of it as a road with guardrails. Our bot is that way. We enable guardrails so that students can't answer or ask questions that are, I'll just put, are inappropriate, because sometimes that happens, unfortunately. So, but if you do go out to a normal bot like ChatGPT, whether that is an inappropriate question or a question like, can you write my paper on situational ethics for an ethics class, right? That's what some of those tools can do. Our tools, again, really focus on either being an FAQ or an integrated bot and answering what it can find answers for on the campus itself. So we'll search things like the SIS, the LMS, things, because students can ask questions like, what are my grades and what are my current course load? What's my current academic standing? How much financial aid do I have? So those are the things that our bot, being an integrated bot, really focuses on versus sort of like a generative AI bot that is really open-ended and completely, in a good way, very powerful, but maybe in a nefarious way can be very scary to campuses out there. And that's kind of why we've made sure to build our bot with those guardrails and not have them just completely open. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks very much, Michelle. Last couple of things, I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time here. We really do try to pride ourselves on having some of the best service levels in the industry, so we can kind of skip past that. I don't want to sound too salesy, but then what I'm going to end with is data security. So let's go to the next slide, because that is just super important to everyone today. You can see the different certifications that we have. Probably our most important thing is number one, we don't store student data. We just use that data in that moment that we either have a live chat or a phone call, or the chatbot on its own goes out and accesses once a student has authenticated. So our tools, whenever there's a question that maybe goes from, are you open today, to how much is my financial aid? The moment that a student or a constituent asks that question, that the bot will know is student specific, it'll prompt them to authenticate. And we'll mimic the authentication protocol of the existing campus, because every college and every university and every institution has a different protocol. Typically, it's kind of a three-step process. Sometimes it's things like an EMPL ID if you have PeopleSoft, or a banner ID or colleague ID. It may be the last four of someone's social or their zip code. Whatever that is, at that exact campus, we'll build that into the bot and to the tools so that the student doesn't feel that they're being asked for something that is new. That's one option. The other option that's even better is we'll leverage existing single sign-on capabilities. Most institutions today have a single sign-on capability, or SSO, and we'll leverage that so that the student doesn't even have to then do anything but say, yep, that's my current data and I'm that person, and verify and validate that data. So data security is super important, and we want to make sure that institutional partners feel secure in that. And again, without getting into details, we have, of course, VAPTs and VPATs and all that good stuff, and we're ISO 20001 certified. So that's mostly what we wanted to cover today. I thought that I would end, and then we'll open it up for questions. I thought what I would do is end with a couple other examples. So we shared earlier about some of the successes, of course, that we've had with CCBC. I'm going to say that, more than 50% of that is folks at CCBC like Serra and others that have just been super fantastic to work with in providing data and answering our questions and letting us go very deep on how do we provide the best level of support we can to your students. And if we do make a mistake or they make a mistake, how do we work together to resolve that? And we build those policies in advance so that we're not having to figure that out while we're flying the plane, so to speak. So a couple other examples. We work with Mass Bay Community College up in the New England area. Actually, if you want to go back a slide. But we work with Mass Bay, and they're a little bit smaller community college, around 5,000 students. So actually, can we go back one slide back to Mass Bay? But for them, we do a little bit of both. So we provide support for their 24/7 help desk, again, just under about 5,000 students. But we also provide a voice bot for them. We're talking to Michael Lyons now about an integrated chat bot as well. But he's had really great success with an upfront voice bot that takes a lot of that student volume and answers those questions up front. They've had about a 4.6 out of 5 student satisfaction rating on their bot, and about a 94% service level achievement for what their service levels are, and about a 72% resolution rate on the bot, which for an FAQ bot is really great. As you get into an integrated bot, that resolution rate will go higher. Resolution meaning that student feels like that the bot answered their question and met their needs, and then about a 98% handle rate. So we've had just some really great partnering with the folks at Mass Bay. And then actually, we went a little too fast. Can you go back one more slide, please, to CCSF? So with CCSF, also, this has been a very interesting client where we've offered both levels of services, both for one-stop and IT, but really they've focused very heavily on the technology. Ellen is definitely one of those industry leaders that is saying, hey, look, I know my students in San Francisco are super savvy with technology. They expect it, they demand it, and if I don't provide it, they're going to go somewhere else. So we've had some really great success with them on their chat and voice bot side, reducing their call volume. You can see some of the stats that I think are pretty interesting, about 8,000 minutes saved per month. That's an enormous amount of time savings and a 90% satisfaction rate. So I know I've talked a lot. We'll kind of end it there and open it up for questions. If folks want to put any questions in the Q&A, we'd love to have more questions, either for myself or Sarah. Or Sarah, if you have anything you'd like to add.
I can't think of anything else, but I welcome any questions that anybody might have. I'll do my best to answer them.
Great. Well, we hope the information we gave was valuable. I know we can certainly provide copies of the presentation to folks that attended. Maybe we can also provide our contact information if folks do have, they may have a lot more questions for you, Sarah, than for me, because I think, yeah, well, I think it's great to be able to have colleagues talk to colleagues, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm
So
definitely available. Yeah, any questions, just throw them my way. I'm definitely available to answer any questions. I love to help out, so.
Well, fantastic. Yeah. All right, well, I don't see any questions. I don't know if we have any others there, but if not, then we can end a little bit early and give, looks like there may have been one that just kind of popped in. Oh, that's very nice of you, Earl. Thank you very much for saying thank you to Sarah and to myself. That's very nice of you. So thank you.
Thanks, Errol.
All right, well, we're going to end a little early. We'll give everybody 10 minutes back in their day. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Enjoy the rest of your week.
And thank you, Sarah and Anthony, for taking time out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah, thank you
Anthony.
very much. Thank you very much, Sarah. I know you're very, very busy at CCBC, so thank you very, very much.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Anything I can do to help out, I'm willing.
Well, thank you again. All right, have a good week.
Take care, everybody. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.